Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Reverend Krista Weber Huang, and it is my pleasure and honor to serve as your minister here at Merging Waters Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community that draws on the shared values of mindful interdependence, authentic curiosity, and courageous love. And in these times more than ever, we are called to put those values into action. We welcome all of you who are joining us here today, whether you are in person or joining us via Zoom. It is very, very good to be together in all of the ways that we can be in this time. If you're in person, you may have figured out we share space with the United Church of Christ New Brighton. They are downstairs having their budget hearing at the moment, so we may have some sound up in the hall when they come up and through. We try to practice radical hospitality here, but we keep forgetting to stop at the store and pick up more name tags. So if you can find one, please wear a name tag. Otherwise, we are working on getting more. We're asking for lots of grace in these times as all of our brains are processing the traumatic events that are happening around us. A few announcements and reminders. This is a space of radical welcoming, not just in our names, but in the way that we are present with one another. We encourage you to take care of yourself in this space, and that includes your mind, your spirit, your heart, and your body. So if you feel the need to fidget, to move, to craft, to wiggle around, to stretch, all of those things are welcome in this space. We particularly welcome our children to be fully themselves, which sometimes means we have fun child sounds in our space and children moving around back and forth between the play area available in the back and the pews. And all of that is welcome and part of what it means to be in this intergenerational community. If you have a pastoral care need, normally I say reach out to me, and that is still the case, but I am going to be in Albuquerque gathering with many, many UU clergy from across the country and a few from across the world this coming week. I am working and I am available in case of emergencies, and I will be keeping track of what is happening here. And I will ask you to reach out to Colleen, our administrator, or Brian or Liz, our co-presidents, first before you reach out to me, and they'll make sure that I get any messages that are needed and can make myself available as needed. I am hoping to continue to support you all pastorally as I reset my nervous system and am working in community. Our UU colleagues have been showing up for us, both flying into Minnesota for Friday's actions and supporting from across the country with organizing and funds and incredible, incredible community building that is happening. And this afternoon, I am excited to welcome one of my colleagues. Make sure I'm getting your name right, Carolyn Bright. Fantastic. Carolyn has joined us today, and she is available for pastoral care after the service. It is really helpful to have folks who are not in the midst of what we are experiencing come to support us. She is here to hear stories, to help hold us, to be that outside of the inner circle voice that can provide support as all of us are feeling the weight in our bodies, in our minds, in our hearts, and our spirits. She is here to help hold some of that with us. So we appreciate her presence today. And we're going to go back to the script because my brain's in trauma mode too. Please know that if you are a newcomer or not yet a formal member, you are still welcome to all of our programming. We want to get to know you. We want you to feel engaged in all that we do here. The best way to get engaged and get to know what's happening in this community is to sign up for our Thursday update. And there is a sign-up sheet out in the table in the hall, entry hall area, that you can check the box to be added to that list. Or on the website, or just sign up on the website. There's a contact button that you can click and fill in your information. Also joining me today in worship is Kathy Burek, our fantastic, incredible, knowledgeable member who will share her wisdom in the sermon today. Our music director, Bruce, and Ed on saxophone, and our always fabulous tech team, Brian Hill and Byron Johnson. The slides were created by Katie Johnson and Janice Sancott. Once again, welcome to our service today. We hope that this space provides a time of sanctuary, reflection, connection, healing, and perhaps even a few moments of joy that can be hard to find these days. We will light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, here in person, and encourage those of you joining us online, if you have a chalice nearby, to light that as well, or if you have one of our multicolored votive lights that we've been handing out, I invite you to light that as well. Our words this morning for lighting. Once a reporter asked a pacifist, A.J. Musta, "Do you really think you are going to change the policies of this country by standing out here alone at night in front of the White House with a candle?" He replied softly, "Oh, I don't do this to change the country. I do this so the country doesn't change me."
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Burek, she, her pronouns. Our opening reading is from UU. Lost my page of the script where the gentleman's name is. Here we go. Got it. Thanks. By Max Donnelly. And it's 1 Corinthians 13 from a UU lens. If I raise my voice in the streets, if I chant until my throat is raw, but act not from love, I am only noise echoing off the sidewalk. If I understand every system of harm, if I can map every pipeline of power and profit, if I speak fluently about justice and liberation, but I forget the dignity of every person, my righteousness becomes another kind of violence. If I give my labor, my rest, my safety, if I turn myself into a symbol or a headline, but I do it for pride, rage, or the thrill of being right, it gains nothing. Love is brave. Love is persistent in hope. Love centers the margins. Love disrupts what dehumanizes. Love tells the truth when silence would be safer. Love refuses scapegoats and simple enemies. Love dismantles domination without becoming it. Love practices equity, not charity. Love protects pluralism, not purity. Love remembers our interdependence, that none of us is free until all of us are free. Love chooses transformation over punishment. Love spends itself generously for the common good. Love bears the long work. Love stays when the cameras leave. Love learns, repairs, and tries again. Love builds the world it is demanding. Love does not light in domination or fear. Love rejoices in truth, in dignity, in liberation. Love bears witness. Love protects the vulnerable. Love persists when progress is slow. Love trusts the possibility of change. Love endures pressure, backlash, and fatigue. Megaphones will crack. Protest signs will fade. Hashtags will vanish. Institutions will fail us. But love, the reason we stand, march, speak, and refuse, remains. Movements will evolve. Strategies will change. But love, the reason we stand, march, speak, and refuse, remains. We do not yet see justice clearly. We organize in fragments and partial victories, but we trust a wider horizon than fear allows. When we were afraid, we accepted small lives. When we grow in love, we claim collective courage. Faith fuels our vision. Hope refuses despair. Love risks everything for each other. And at the center of these is love.
One of the many ways we care for ourselves and each other in this time is by singing together. It helps us calm our bodies and focus on breathing and creating music together. So I would invite you to join in singing our first hymn. If you have a hymnal, it's number 34, If I May Speak with Bravest Fire. But we'll have the words up on the screen for those both in person and at home. And I invite you to rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able.
And now, our story for all ages, the parable of the river. One day, as a villager began his early morning stroll, he noticed that the once vibrant river looked slightly murkier thank you, mercury, than usual and contained some sludge, and garbage was strewn all over the banks. The villager quickly went out of their way to clear the pollution and restore the flow. He thought all was well, but the next day, the same villager noticed 2 lifeless fish in the river. He scooped them out of the waters and again thought all was well. But the following day, debris started to build up, and the river's flow became constricted, cutting off water to the village. Naturally, the organized villagers organized quickly, setting up watchtowers and training teams of swimmers and environmentalists to withstand the swift waters and clear the debris. Cleanup squads soon worked 24 hours a day to keep up with the increase in pollution. And while not all the debris and fish could be removed from the river, the villagers felt they were doing as well as they could. Indeed, the village priest even blessed them in their work, and life in the village continued that way for many months. One day, however, a young girl was playing by the riverside and saw the pollution. She looked off in the distance and then turned to her grandfather, asking where all the waste was coming from. Her grandfather shrugged his shoulders and said, "Upriver somewhere, I guess." The girl said, "Well, let's organize a team to head upstream and find out who's throwing all their trash into the river in the first place." They brought this idea to the village elders, but the elders countered, saying things like, "But if we were to go upstream, who would take care of the rescue operation here? And we need every concerned person here. And don't be ridiculous, it's too hard to travel upstream." The girl cried, "But don't you see? If we find out who's polluting the river, we can stop the problem and no fish will die." The elders responded by saying, "It's far too risky and we need all the help here." And so the number of fish found floating in the river continued. Several days later, the young girl decided to go upstream herself to find the source of the corruption. Upstream, she found a mountain of plastic from the building of a nearby village that was releasing chemicals into the once beautiful river and blocking up the waterways. The girl smiled to herself and began to remove as much as she could. And as she dealt with the source of the pollution upstream, the river downstream returned to normal, much to the joy of the other villagers. And those villagers then began to think to themselves, maybe we should go upstream too.
Could you close that? We are experiencing a lot of pollution in our stream right now, according to this story. And I think it's interesting to see the different reactions and think about how it might apply to where we are at. When you're in the middle of what feels like a crisis, and in our case really is a crisis, there is a need to care for the immediate situation. And at the same time, there is a need to go upstream and fix the problem. On Friday, we had actions across the Twin Cities, across the state of Minnesota, across the country, calling for a change to the upstream pollution. calling out what was happening, what is happening in our community. I want you all sitting in this room to know that we are not alone, and that we are part of an organizing and strategy that is happening on a broad level to try to fix that pollution upstream. And at the same time, we are sitting in the violence that is escalating, as we saw the death of another innocent community member, the murder of someone trying to care for a person who had just been pepper sprayed. Take a deep breath with me. We are holding so much in our communities right now. And yet we come to this space knowing that we need one another. Knowing that we cannot be alone in this time, and that it is love that will guide us through whatever may be coming. We are currently in the epicenter of the violence that is being demonstrated by this authoritarian government. So our most important job is to care for one another, to remind each other that the work we do is about love. I'm not actually preaching today, but I have a few words to say. Friday morning, I bundled up and stood outside for 2 hours in negative 20-degree weather, witnessing nearly 100 people, over 80 of whom were clergy, be arrested in protest at the airport. This was a very peaceful action. There were no ICE present. No one was in immediate danger, but we weren't sure of that going into it. All the folks were released and joined us for dinner that evening. But to stand there and witness, to hold in love and say, we as a people of faith, as faith leaders, do not condone what is happening, and we want this violence that is being brought into our community to get out, was a powerful moment. And I heard someone behind me at the very beginning, when the police were just arriving on the scene, yell out, "Fascist." And I had to pause for a moment, because the police who were coming were the ones who we wanted to be there, the ones who are our neighbors. And it is very hard in this time and age to remember that they are people too. So I turned and we had a conversation about what the purpose of the day was and how we wanted to be present and treating one another in this time and this place. It was to call out ICE. And he shifted into talking about love and talking about caring for our community and calling for ICE to be out. And we did a lot of singing over those 2 hours. But at one point he turned to me and he said, "I just don't understand how these ICE agents can get to the point of the violence that they are inflicting on this community." And I said, let's step back for a moment. I wonder what's happening with their hearts and with their neurology. Because we know when children experience violence, it wires our brains differently as we grow up. So I wonder how many of those ICE agents have experienced violence in their own lives when they had no control as small children. And they are desperately seeking some control, some way to find love in the world, but don't know how to do that. And I could see he was shaken. I offered him a hug and whispered in his ear, "We can't lose our hearts in this." And he turned to me and said, "I can't cry at -20, it's going to freeze on my face." But we can't lose our hearts in this. We can't back down either. We can't stop calling for accountability. We have to hold both things at once. The righteous anger and the deep love and community, while also fighting the fear and the despair and the heartbreak that we are all holding right now. As we let the laughter bubble through us, let us sing together.
Add to what Reverend Krista has said about the clergy who came to join us and witness over this past weekend, but also to acknowledge that our own congregation's ministerial leadership has been heavily involved in this whole action. Reverend Krista, Reverend Chad, Reverend Laura, Reverend Diana McLean, who was our director of family ministries, and our original United Theological interns, Reverend Rod Richards and Reverend Jill Terwilliger, came to join us this week. And so it was such a delight to know that the people who have loved and cared and ministered for us are part of this support system here. When this year's Soul Matters packets were created, the people who put them together could not have known how relevant this month's theme of practicing resistance would be. We are seeing the practice of resistance all around us, and likewise, we are called to resist. People here in Minnesota have been resisting Trump's efforts to replace our democracy with fascism for a year. Since December, when the Trump regime began Operation Metro Surge, We've seen thousands of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE agents, and Border Patrol agents arresting and deporting our neighbors, not based on any evidence of criminality, but instead based on the color of their skin and their accents. Some of these arrests have been have been citizens who are simply trying to monitor and record ICE activities. Minnesotans have resisted this occupation by stepping up to provide groceries, rides, and other support to people who are afraid to leave their homes for fear of being arrested and deported. People have volunteered to protect school children from harassment by ICE and Border Patrol. Our Unitarian Universalist covenant affirms that love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. 2 of these 6 values are pluralism and justice. Our value of pluralism states, we celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Our value of justice says, we promise one another to work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and the society at large. Committed to pluralism and justice with love at the center, is it any wonder that this past Thursday and Friday, an estimated 300 UU ministers answered the call to oppose the unloving, anti-pluralistic, and unjust actions of ICE and the Border Patrol? Our clergy and many lay UUs were among the 50,000 people who took to the streets in bitter cold weather to engage in nonviolent resistance. Those yellow Side with Love stoles were visible throughout the many resistance activities that took place on Friday. And I gotta say, that was a brilliant strategy on the part of the Side with Love folks. We can spot our people at a glance, and it's a great thing to have. I was inspired to see our clergy and our association leadership, including the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, our president, stepping up this past week. So what do we mean when we talk about nonviolent resistance? One definition is that nonviolent resistance is the practice of working for social change without causing harm to others under any condition. The phrase nonviolent resistance has 2 equally important components: nonviolence and resistance. A nonviolent resistor is not a passive acceptance of injustice. A nonviolent resistor does not meekly accept an unjust situation. They do not shrug their shoulders and say, well, that's too bad, but they work to end the injustice. Nonviolent resistors are willing to be confrontational, calling attention to the problem at hand. According to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, he who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetuate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. Love is at the heart of nonviolent resistance, particularly as practiced by Mahatma Gandhi. For Gandhi, nonviolent resistance was not merely a tactic, it was a spiritual discipline, a discipline based on agape love. This form of love does not mean we like our opponent. It does not mean we are fond of them or have other warm, fuzzy feelings toward them. Rather, it represents selfless, unconditional, and maybe even sacrificial love that prioritizes others' well-being regardless of their merit. It is an action-oriented, willful choice to show compassion and kindness. If we act with agape love, we don't simply refrain from engaging in physical violence towards those we struggle against. For Gandhi, it might mean that we don't laugh at the ICE agents slipping on our icy streets. We don't throw snowballs at them, insult them, or use our middle finger as a greeting. Yeah, I know. I got to work on that one. But I think Reverend Chris's example of not calling these folks fascists to their face is a case in point. When people don't feel respected, they're not going to listen to us. Instead, they will try to justify their actions to themselves, leading to a hardening of their beliefs. What Gandhi and King understood is that when we exhibit hostile behavior toward other people, they become angry and fearful. When members of a group are attacked, group cohesion increases. Us versus them feelings lead to seeing non-group members as an enemy to be defeated. When we direct even low-level violence toward our opponents, they react to our hostility with increased hostility of their own, and the situation escalates. Gandhi and King both believed that when we act with hate and anger in our hearts, it puts us on a slippery slope to seeing our opponents as less than human or not human at all. It can lead to our being violent ourselves, thereby escalating situations rather than working to end the conflict. We all are sickened, grieving, and angry about the murders of 2 Minnesotans by ICE and Border Patrol agents. We are afraid of the randomness of ICE detainments of people they decide are interfering with them. What happens if we are just following an ICE vehicle just randomly on a street? Will we be dragged from our cars and detained, or worse? Right now, I know that asking anyone to hold agape love for ICE agents is a tall order. I'm not ready myself. I'm certainly not going to ask a member of a targeted community to do so. And yet, our reading named beautifully what happens when we engage in nonviolent actions without love. We create scapegoats and simple enemies instead of seeing the complex systems of power that underlie what we see. Nonviolent resistance is not without its critics. Reinhold Niebuhr and others have noted that systems of oppression are themselves violent. For critics of nonviolent resistance, asking the oppressed to wait to endure irreparable harm while nonviolence takes its course perpetuates that harm. Systems in which one man can be a trillionaire while others don't have a decent place to live or food to eat are violent systems. So too are systems where health insurance company executives earn millions while many cannot afford life-saving medical treatment. Environmental destruction is violent. Harms occur as long as these systems are in place. Niebuhr further argues that nonviolent resistance presumes the opponent has empathy, that they have a conscience. If the opponent does not have a conscience, Niebuhr asserts that it is irresponsible to engage in nonviolence in those situations. An opponent without a conscience will not be moved. This leads us to a difficult choice. Do we persist in nonviolent resistance in those situations? When is violence justified, if ever? How far are each of us willing to go? Each of us needs to assess that balance for ourselves, and each of us needs to understand what we are and are not comfortable with. But while nonviolent resistance might not move a hard-hearted opponent, it can move others in our society. Sheriff Bull Connor White America began to turn against Southern segregationists when Sheriff Bull Connor turned the fire hoses on peaceful civil rights marchers and attacked them with dogs. Today, indications are that our fellow citizens are horrified by the violence ICE and Border Patrol are inflicting against immigrants, nonviolent protesters, and legal observers. If we don't think the leaders of our current regime can be moved, we can focus instead on moving our fellow citizens to demand an end to ICE violence by practicing our resistance nonviolently. As Trump has escalated the terror inflicted on our community, our fellow Minnesotans have escalated their nonviolent resistance. For example, Neighbors Helping Neighbors now has 1,200 volunteers buying groceries and giving rides to people who are afraid to leave their homes. They've been able to raise $300,000 in support of their efforts, and they need more volunteers and more money. Unidos reports that they expected 400 people to attain legal observer training on the evening of January 7th. When Renee Good was murdered that morning, they were concerned that people might not show up. Instead, in addition to the 400 people that had registered, another 500 showed up. We will not be cowed. Minnesotans are not being intimidated by ICE, but instead we're stepping up to meet the challenge of ensuring that our communities are safe. So what are we, the members and friends of Merging Waters, called to do? First, it is important to know that any resistance action we take is as good as any other. Not all of us are called to risk arrest, face tear gas, or march in frigid weather. Each of us must honestly assess our willingness and ability to take such risks. If those actions are not in our lane, we do what we can. Every action of nonviolent resistance we take will help to bring about a more just society. There are many forms of nonviolent resistance that are available to us. If we can't take actions directly to oppose ICE, we can work to mitigate the harm caused by violent systems. We can boycott businesses that are cooperating with ICE or not speaking out against them. The year-long boycott of Target, for example, after they abandoned DEI, has had results. Their profits are down. Meanwhile, Costco, which has opposed Trump, is doing better than ever. We can eat dinner at immigrant-owned restaurants, buy books at independent bookstores. Avant Garden, which is owned by our own Brian and Jennifer Hill, has been engaging in raising supplies and things for Parents for Good. We can donate money to organizations that are working to protect immigrants. We can engage in low-risk protests like spending an hour holding a sign on a pedestrian overpass. You saw that every Saturday, 10 o'clock, there was a group of people out here park in the church parking lot and stand with a sign as long as you can. Another group held signs at 49th and Central. Find one close to you and spend as long as you can, given the weather, and listen to all of the honks you get in affirmation of what we're doing. We can call elected officials at all levels, our state and federal representatives, demanding that they work to dismantle the unjust systems and build more humane ones. We can demand accountability for those who commit crimes. When this congregation discussed our social action priorities last year, one of the tactics we ranked as important was education. While resisting violence against our neighbors is urgent, what we are seeing is only the tip of the iceberg. We need to educate ourselves and our friends, neighbor, and family about what is going on. The story about the river reminds us to move up the river to the source of the problem. Moving upstream from ICE, we find the leadership of the current regime, whose rhetoric gives these federal officers on the ground permission to do what they are doing, which encourages them in their brutal and illegal actions. Moving upstream from the leaders of this regime, we find the people who voted for them, who share their ideology. What motivates them? How can we change their minds and hearts? Moving still further upstream, we need to face the unhealed wounds of racism and greed that are part of this nation's founding story. And that's another whole sermon or several. Educating ourselves and others is one important way we move upstream. Second, it is important to rest and engage in self-care. Work for justice in shifts, not 24/7. Nonviolent resistance is hard work. If we burn out, we don't do anybody any good. Resist and rest, then come back to the resistance. Resisting the reign of terror that Trump is creating is a marathon, not a sprint. When the Article 2 Study Commission wrote our new covenant, we described love as a spiritual discipline. That was a deliberate choice. We recognize that loving our opponents does not come naturally, nor is it easy. It takes practice and dedication, like learning to play a musical instrument or to engage in athletic activities. We start with small steps and work toward the more difficult ones. Beginning piano students don't start with playing a Beethoven sonata, do they, Bruce? Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, there are the exceptions, right? We can take smaller steps at the beginning, holding our friends and neighbors in agape love. Discipline also means regular practice. Every day we can interrupt ourselves when we express hate or have negative thoughts, start stereotyping, and we can resist dehumanizing those we don't agree with. From there, we can begin to see our opponents as people who have complex motivations, who maybe genuinely believe they're doing the right thing. Love calls us to do the work of healing the world, and that includes healing ourselves. Will you join me in this work? Yes?
Thank you, Kathy.
As we strive to answer yes to the call of love, let us sing 10:14, Answering the Call of Love. Please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able. I invite you to take another deep breath. I keep finding myself holding my breath, waiting for the next thing. So breathe. Let us keep breathing together as we enter into a spirit of generosity. I want to do a reading for us from Reverend Erica Hewitt. She says, "The offering that we take each Sunday isn't just a stale habit. It's an opportunity to recommit to this place, to this people. Our offering is an affirmation. It's a yes. When we give, we say yes to something valuable. With our gifts freely given, may we say yes to the value of faith. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation as tools to empower our mission. The mission of Merging Waters Unitarian Universalist Congregation is to be a place of all ages that celebrates an examined faith and challenges one another with loving kindness to be our best selves and to work for a flourishing world. Today, any undesignated offerings will go to support the work of Emerging Waters and our regular operating expenses. Although we do monthly support community partners, so if you would like to give to this month's community partner, Tigers, and I don't have the acronym in front of me, and we have information out on the counter, but please write it on your check or select it from the drop-down box. The basket will be passed in person, or you can use the instructions on the screen to give online. We have a recorded reflection piece for our offering today, and I invite you to sing along, to move along, to clap along, however your body and heart and spirit and mind feel moved to engage.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this strength that I have, this strength that I have, this strength that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. Oh, this love that I have. This love that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This love that I have. Oh, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This love that I have, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Singing, the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This pride that I have, this pride that I have, this pride that I have. Oh yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This pride that I have. I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This pride that I have, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. All this peace that I have, oh, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give me my peace that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. Won't you sing about peace? This peace that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. All this joy that I have, this joy that I have, this joy that I have. Oh yeah, now the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have. I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give Resistance Revival Chorus believes in the words written by the poet Toy Darracott when she wrote, "Joy is an act of resistance." We believe in the words of Mr. Harry Belafonte, who said, "When the movement is strong, the music is strong." We sing to revive the hearts of those who fight for social justice, and we sing together for freedom.
I close our service today with these words by UU religicator and my friend C.B. Beale. What if I told you that love is always calling you? You. Love is always calling you. What if love is calling and loving and fiercely holding you to be fully present and whole? What if the context within which you live and love only determines the scope of how you may respond in any given moment, but has no impact on the call of love itself? What if love will shine on you? What if love will shine on you and it doesn't matter how you respond to love or how or whether you shine back? Love will still shine on you. It's not a capitalist exchange, but a promise. And different ones of us in different contexts will answer this question differently. To what is love calling you right now? Our response to the call of love may be changing and deepening in this moment, or we may be at the very beginning point of turning towards love and away from hatred and the antagonistic rage we once believed would save us.
Let us do our closing ritual of extinguishing the chalice together. I invite you to read with me the words on our screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Remember this week that you are not alone. Find ways to be in community with one another, with those who are most oppressed around us, and with those who need a smile and a hug. Maybe that's you. I'll be at the back for hugs after service. And join again with us next Sunday at 12:30 when Kevin Sitter and Joey Hunter will be introducing February's very appropriate Soul Matters theme of embodying resilience as we keep doing this work together. Today you're invited to join us after the service for those who are in person for refreshments, and then we will have a circle in the back and conversation time on Zoom, followed by a circle as well. And that circle is a Sparklet circle, where we share what sparkled for you in the service today, and then how is it with your spirit. As you are greeting one another, please remember to ask for consent for those hugs and touches. We all have different feelings about how our body interacts with one another. We have a tradition in this particular congregation of singing to one another as we leave the song, "Go Now in Peace." So I invite those of you in person to rise and body your spirit as you're willing and able, and form a circle on this side of the room, around the outside and down the main aisle. Please check with your neighbor on their comfort of holding hands, touching elbows, having a hand on the shoulder, or putting your hands on your heart. We know it is still cold and flu season. Those of you at home, the words will be in the chat. And we encourage you to turn your video on so we can see you. If you are here and do not know the words, let us sing to you.